Before I tell you what happened, before I explain how one decision unraveled everything I thought I knew about myself, I need to ask you for one small thing. If you enjoy deep, emotional, real-life stories that stay with you long after the video ends, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. Seriously, these stories take time, honesty, and heart to tell, and every subscription helps this channel keep growing. But more importantly, if you've ever felt lost in your own life, if you've ever questioned your choices, your relationships, or even yourself, then this story is going to hit differently. So stay with me until the end. Because this isn't just about love. It's about loneliness, about identity, about becoming someone you never imagined you could become. And maybe somewhere in all of this, you'll recognize a part of yourself too. My name is Ava Rowan. I'm 30 years old, and for a very long time, I believed I had built the perfect life. Not the flashy kind of perfect. Not the kind people post online with luxury vacations and fake smiles and captions pretending everything is magical. No, mine was quieter than that. Safer. More believable. I had stability. A beautiful home. A dependable husband. Predictable routines. A future that made sense. For years, I thought that was enough. I thought happiness was supposed to feel calm. Controlled. Organized. I thought love meant security. And maybe that's why I ignored the silence growing inside me for so long. Because nothing in my life looked broken. From the outside, Ethan and I were the couple everyone admired. We met in college when we were both too young to understand how complicated adulthood would eventually become. Back then, everything between us felt easy. Natural. Ethan was steady in a way that made people trust him instantly. He remembered important dates. He planned ahead. He always knew how to solve problems before they became disasters. When other people our age were making reckless decisions, Ethan was already thinking about mortgages, retirement accounts, and 5-year plans. At 21, that kind of certainty felt attractive. At 25, it felt comforting. At 30, sometimes it felt suffocating. But I didn't realize that immediately. Life with Ethan unfolded exactly the way we planned it would. We got married in a small ceremony surrounded by family and close friends. We bought a house in a quiet neighborhood lined with identical trees and carefully trimmed lawns. We hosted dinners. We attended birthdays. We smiled in photos. And slowly, without either of us noticing, our relationship transformed into something functional instead of emotional. We became efficient partners. Not lovers. Not dreamers. Not two people discovering life together. Just two adults managing responsibilities side by side. At first, I convinced myself that was maturity. Because nobody really talks about what happens after the excitement fades. Movies end before that part. Social media hides it behind anniversary posts and vacation pictures. Nobody warns you about emotional numbness. Nobody tells you that sometimes loneliness can exist even when someone sleeps inches away from you every night. That kind of loneliness is difficult to explain. It doesn't arrive dramatically. It builds quietly. Like dust settling across furniture, so slowly you barely notice it until one day everything feels dull. That's what happened to me. Every morning looked the same. Wake up. Coffee. Work. Dinner. Television. Sleep. Repeat. Weeks blurred together so completely that sometimes I struggled to remember whether something happened yesterday or 3 months ago. The strange part was, nothing was technically wrong. Ethan wasn't cruel. He wasn't distant in an obvious way. He didn't yell. He didn't cheat. He didn't forget me. But somewhere along the way he stopped seeing me. And maybe I stopped seeing myself too. Our conversations became transactional. Did you pay the electric bill? What time is your appointment tomorrow? Can you grab groceries after work? The plumber is coming Friday. We discuss schedules more than feelings. And whenever I tried reaching for something deeper, the moment disappeared before it could fully exist. One night stands out clearly in my memory. I was sitting beside Ethan on the couch while rain tapped softly against the windows. The room glowed blue from the television screen, though neither of us was really watching. He was answering work emails on his laptop. I remember looking at him and thinking, when was the last time we truly talked? Not about responsibilities. Not about plans. Not about errands. But about us. About fear. About dreams. About whether we were actually happy. I almost asked. But then he sighed at something on his screen and muttered, "People are impossible." And the moment disappeared. Again. So instead I stayed quiet. That became my specialty eventually. Quietness. I mastered the art of swallowing emotions before they became inconvenient. I told myself this was adulthood. This was marriage. Passion fades. Excitement settles. People change. That's normal, right? But deep down, another truth was growing inside me. I wasn't living anymore. I was existing. There's a difference. Living feels awake. Existing feels automatic. And the terrifying thing about existing is how long you can do it before realizing you've disappeared inside your own routine. Months passed like that. Maybe longer. I started spending more time alone. Even when Ethan was home. I'd sit in the kitchen after dinner pretending to scroll through my phone while secretly trying to identify the emptiness I couldn't name. I bought books I never finished. Started hobbies I abandoned after days. Changed my hair twice in 1 year hoping transformation on the outside might wake something up internally. Nothing worked. Because the problem wasn't boredom. It was disconnection. From my marriage. From myself. From the version of me that used to feel alive. And then Luca came back into my life in a way that changed everything. The dangerous thing about temptation is that it rarely looks dangerous at first. Sometimes it arrives wearing familiarity. Luca had always been around. He and Ethan grew up together. Best friends since childhood. The kind of friendship built through decades of shared memories and unspoken loyalty. He came to our wedding. Helped us move into our house. Showed up at family barbecues. Fixed things whenever they broke. For years he existed in the background of my life like harmless static. Comfortable. Easygoing. Forgettable in the safest possible way. At least that's what I thought. Until one afternoon when Ethan asked him to stop by and repair a loose shelf in our kitchen. It was such a small moment. Completely ordinary. I almost didn't answer the door because I was still wearing oversized sweatpants and an old sweatshirt with coffee stains on the sleeve. But Luca just grinned when I opened the door. "Rough day?" he asked. I laughed awkwardly. "Is it that obvious?" "A little." There was nothing flirtatious in his tone. That's important. Because if there had been, maybe I would have pulled away sooner. Instead, everything felt harmless. He spent 20 minutes fixing the shelf while I made iced tea. We talked casually about work, the weather, random neighborhood gossip. Normal conversation. Then, without warning, he asked me something nobody had asked in a very long time. "How are you really doing, Ava?" Not politely. Not automatically.